my people, this year 2020 will not be business as usual, and we will not take all these fake hopes and false hopes that are being given to my people. Just like we witness in church every year, they tell you this is your year, this is your year of this is your year of that, and at the end of the year, your life is either worse or remains the same. Now, coming to the aspiration of my people, which this platform represent, we are Igbo-centric and we are Biafra-centric, and we have no apology to anyone whatsoever with respect to the aspiration of my people to be free. And mind you, some people have misunderstood, and some people who are agitating for freedom don't even know what freedom is all about. You know, when we say we are agitating for freedom, people don't see it from the holistic aspect of it. And the worst of it all is when someone, because somebody made a comment, I want to just briefly touch on that. Someone made a comment on my previous post saying that we are talking about we are mixing up Nigeria and Biafra together. Let me tell you, you cannot talk about your freedom without talking about the change that is holding you bound. You cannot talk about your freedom without talking about the cell in which you are being entrapped upon. Nigeria is the trap holding my people down, and we must continue talking about this British colonial contraption that we held holding my people down. We must continue talking about it, and it amazed me that somebody will come up to tell you that you are not, you should not be mixing politics with the Biafran agitation. Now, let me tell you, when you talk about freedom, you talk about economic freedom, where we pursue the economic freedom of my people, the living standard of my people. We're talking about social freedom, where my people can live freely without being molested or harassed, without their life being cut short, without being humiliated and molested by anybody whatsoever, without being suppressed by taking away their free speech. You see, we want a society where everyone has equal right and equal stake. Even if you don't have equal stake, but at least let everyone live a life without being undermined or without being enslaved in this 21st century. Now, when you talk about religious freedom, that one a case study on its own, because what Africa is passing through, not only my people, is mental religious slavery. We handle that on their own part. Then talking about political freedom. Political freedom is talking about is a situation where we talk about self-determination, being able to govern yourself, being able to make our laws that suit you the way it suits you, that conforms with your norms and values, and not being influenced by external forces, in such a way that it undermines the living standard of the people. And let me tell you, among every freedom, the most important one is political freedom, because without that, you cannot access other freedom. Or I can do good and our people doesn't know about it. And if we must free ourselves, we start freeing ourselves politically here in Biafran land, in Igbo land, yes. Because you can't tell me that you're not interested with the government of Nigeria, you're not interested with what is happening in our homeland, in Biafran land, in Igbo land. Let me tell you, when you say you're not interested in that, let me tell you what happens. The stooges of the north, of your main oppressors, will be in power. And you cry, you keep lamenting, you keep putting the world on notice that you are being killed, that they are not representing you. Who and how do you expect them to represent you? Whereas you say you're not interested. You're boycotting whatever thing that brings people into power. Let me tell you, we are hitting them head on. We are going to get involved, and we're not missing word about it. If you are not interested, stay aside. We are mobilizing millions of our people. Ndibo, the Biafra people in general, must rise up. We must pull our forces together and take our lives back, beginning with our political freedom. We are going to determine who will be in leadership position in our homeland, and that way we'll start the real agitation. Or if I can do good, they understand the power of political power, and that is why they are not letting go. But we're not interested in what is happening in Abuja. We're interested in what is happening in Anambra State, in Imo State, in Abia State, in River State, in Ebonyi State, in Delta State, in Calabar, in Cross River State, in Akwa Ibom State. We are interested in all these places. That is our catchment area. And those who will be in government position, in leadership position, must come from the people. So that and if you are not interested, this is not the year and I want deceiving our people or trying to trying to fan up the frustration and the emotional feelings of my people. It is enough. Now, we will only tolerate those who have clear plan of action. You have to state it clearly how you want to achieve it, what is expected of you to do at a particular stage. We need leadership. We don't need too much talk. We need people who have clear plan of action, people who have vision, people who know how to achieve their vision. We are not here to talk too much this year. I'm only here to inform you about the process being taken to get our freedom. So get ready. Put your seatbelt on, because we are taking you on a flight on our freedom. We're not promising you that Biafra will come today or tomorrow. Let me tell you, Biafra is already here. I am a Biafran living in Biafran land. What is lacking is our political freedom. What is lacking is our economic freedom. What is lacking is even our spiritual freedom have been taken away from us. We will stop at nothing until the freedom of my people holistically is assured. Now I'm beginning with this year's cut out plan of action. And let me start with Lower Niger Congress. These people have gone, they have their own plan of action, and they are not into too much of this publicity and propaganda. But I want to bring it as presented by my senior comrade, my brother, a true Biafran, a Biafran from the core. He had their own plan of action, and they are rolling out. I want you to listen to him. I'll be right back.
Hello, Happy New Year to everybody. Today is January 1, the year 2020. And my name is Clifford Chukwemeka Iruanya, and I am reaching you from the great city of Houston. Today is the part 4 of my 5-part series. Recall that in the first part, it was just a general introduction where I talked about what I'm going to be discussing. I also used the opportunity to trace the history of the 1999 Constitution, which I traced back to December 31, 1983, when Muhammadu Buhari committed the crime of treason by overthrowing a democratically elected government of Alhaji Shehu Shagari. I also used that opportunity to introduce the Lower Niger Congress, and I also made everyone to understand that the 12 contiguous states in the north, the Sharia state, that they have succeeded from Nigeria in violation of Section 10, because they have declared a Sharia law which violates Section 10 of the fraudulent 1999 Constitution. Then also went to part 2. There I looked at the history of Nigeria, starting from the Lancaster House Agreement of 1957 to 1959, all the way to the charade by Murtala Mohammed and Obasanjo, which they called the 1979 Constitution. I also talked about the ignominious and criminal act of Yakubu Gowon by way of Decree 14 of May 27, 1967, which I'm going to talk about shortly. Also in that same part 2, I provided what I call prescription, which is more or less, taking down the 1999 Constitution. I went ahead in part 3 to look at the details of the roadmap, which is a 5-phase and in 2 compartments. I also talked about all the events that took place from 1999 all the way to 2019, and I informed everyone that right now we are at the point where we have the Charter of Relationship to execute that will take us to referendum. And I remember closing on part 3 by saying that I'm going to go to part 4, which is discussing the 8-point strategy, and it is what would separate the boys from the men and the wheat from the chaff. And here I am now to talk about part 4, which is the 8-point strategy as presented and proposed by the Lower Niger Congress in combination with the MNN Alliance partners. Before I do that, I want to present this document, because this document affects the first five strategies of the 8-point strategy. The first 5 points affected by this very document. I don't know if the fine prints But if you can zoom in a little bit closer, you will see here it is called Decree number 14. This is the document that killed the Federation of Nigeria. This is the document that made life impossible and made life unlivable in the entire southern Nigeria, that is the south, the southeast, and the southwest. This document is what destroyed life in the southern part of Nigeria, and this document you are seeing is the sole reason why Biafra lost the war. This document, it is called Decree number 14 of May 27, 1967. It has so much implication on what I'm going to talk about on this. Now, let me go straight to the 8-point strategy. The first point of strategy for the liberation of our people, and for which the Lower Niger Congress have been using to execute its program, is the issue of map. There is something I wrote down here, and I want to read it so that I'll make sure I get it very correctly, and I will even read it twice. It goes this way: any independence campaign that does not begin with a definite and settled map of the territory targeted for the independence is completely dead on arrival. For the sake of emphasis, let me read it again. Any independence campaign that does not begin with a definite and settled map of the territory targeted for independence is completely dead on arrival. So that brings me to the crucial point of strategic point number 1. In other words, for you to do anything at all in self-determination, in independence, you must have a definite and a settled map. Sometimes when we make sentences, there are things called keywords. The keywords here are definite and settled. Definite and settled means it is something that is properly recognized and that has been documented. And here I have what is called the 1885 ethno-linguistic map, showing the various groups of the Lower Niger. This is the map that the Lower Niger Congress is basing its activity on. This here, you have the ethnic groups. Please remember, it's called ethnic groups, ethno-linguistic groups. So it is not a particular, it doesn't really define everything. For instance, let me give you an example. Here is this particular section of it is called the Ishekiri Urobo section. That doesn't mean that it's only the Ishekiri or it's only the Urobo, because right there you have the Ishekiri, you have the Urobos, then you have the Isokos, then the Okpes, even the Ijos in this region, because when you go to Warri, there's a part of it that's occupied by the Ijos. And then when you go from this map, go a little bit, you go to a place called Ogulaha. Ogulaha is an Ijo town, but it is in this very portion. Just like you have here, it says the Edo group, you have the Benin, you have the Esako, you have the Asian, you have the Garas, you have the Afrema. So it is grouped so that we understand it. Now, so this is the ethno-linguistic group, the map upon which the Lower Niger Congress is using as the basis. My question to any organization at all, remember this is separating the boys from the men. What is the map that you are using? Which map are you using in your self-determination quest? Recall that as at the 26th of May 1967, Nigeria had 4 regions: the northern region, the western region, the midwestern region, and the eastern region. As at 26th of May 1967, on the 27th of May 1967, those regions were dissolved by virtue of this document, Decree number 14. And in their place were 12 states. And so, which map are you using? Are you using the map? Because I am asking this because when Ojukwu declared Biafra on the 30th of May 1967, there was no longer an eastern region, because the eastern region stood dissolved 3 days to declaration of Biafra. But let's even let that go and assume that there was eastern region. Ojukwu's declaration of Biafra was based only on the eastern region, but there was a western region. As a matter of fact, Ojukwu moved his soldiers to go and liberate the Midwestern region to form their own nation or their own country. So what I'm trying to say is, what map are you using? That is very important. And that is the strategy, number one, one of the 8-point strategy. Number two, building consensus and internal cohesion among the constituent components. Just like I'm coming back to this map again, there are various nationals or nationalities within this lower Niger region. So what the lower Niger Congress has done is to conduct a robust engagement of the constituting nationalities in this map. They went around, the lower Niger Congress went around for 6 solid years, from 2003 to 2009, consulting with all the ethnic nationalities in this map here and getting their consensus, getting their agreement before the lower Niger Congress was publicly and officially unveiled at Warri in 2009 with 22 signatories, among whom is our own brother Alhaji Mujahid Asare Dokubo, the Ediabale of Kalabari Kingdom. Alhaji Asare Dokubo is a founding member of the Lower Niger Congress and a foundational member of the Lower Niger Congress. We must give him that credit. So going back to what I was saying, is that for self-determination approach or strategy, there must be consensus among the constituting ethnic nationalities. The reason being that the lower Niger is a heterogeneous geographical entity, meaning that it is not monolithic. It is not just one ethnic nationality. It is unlike what we have in the southwest, where they are mainly Yorubas. In the lower Niger region, there are different ethnic nationalities, and you cannot stay in London under a microphone and conscript the Ogoni man, the Kalabari man, the Robo man, the Shekiri, the Ijo, the Ope, the Isoko, conscript them into a nation without consulting them, without talking to them, without coming to agreement. By the way, you must understand that the war was being propagandized, like there was a propaganda by Gowon that is a war of liberation, that they are trying to liberate the other people from the Igbos. Therefore, you must have that consultation. That's why internal consensus and cohesion is important, and that is the second point agenda. Now, on the third one is the strategy for taking down the 1999 Constitution. What is the strategy for taking down the 1999 Constitution? And this is where the Lower Niger Congress excels above every other organization, and it is working down very well for the Lower Niger Congress. What happened was that between 2005 and 2006, the Pro-NACO was able to move around the country in conjunction with, people and members of the Lower Niger Congress. We were able to move around and get a nationwide consensus to reject and repudiate that fraudulent constitution. And what happened was that in 2007, the MNN now came into being. The movement for New Nigeria came into being, and they instituted a lawsuit against the federal government, they were challenging the constitution, that it was not properly made. And in so doing, the plan was to terminate the operations of that constitution. And from there, they moved into the phase of the MNN Lagos Declaration of June 30th, 2011. From there, that declaration gave the regional blocks the mandate to go and conduct their solemn assemblies and also prepare their various draft constitution and charters of relationships. I have mentioned this in the previous video. And that resulted in the various solemn assemblies, the first being the one of 27th April 2015 by the Lower Niger Congress and the peoples of the Lower Niger. The next one was in September 7, 2017 by the Southwest or the Yorubas at Ibadan. And then the next one was in July 18 in Makurdi by the Middle Belt. So each of the blocks conducted their various solemn assemblies. I'm talking about these blocks here: the Middle Belt, the Lower Niger, and the Oduduwa or the Yoruba. They conducted their various solemn assemblies. And having done that, the next thing they did was they aggregated together to form what is called the Alliance Territory. And so you can see now there are two territories here. You have the Sharia territory and then you have the Alliance Territory, made up of the Middle Belt, the Yoruba side, and then the Lower Niger. And it was this Alliance Territory that came together and launched the December 11, 2018 Freedom Park Proclamation, which had now set in motion the winding down of the disputed union called Nigeria. So I want us to follow the trend. We started with the Pronaco, from Pronaco to MNN, and then the lawsuit, and from there to the MNN Lagos Declaration of 2011, and from there we had the various solemn assemblies, 2015, 2017, and 2018, and then came the Freedom Park Proclamation, and of course others will follow. So that is the strategy that the Lower Niger Congress is adopting in taking down the constitution. The question now is, the other so-called self-determination groups, what have they done in this step? Do they even have a laid-down process and procedure? The answer, of course, is no. Now, the fourth item, or the fourth point here, is the question of dismantling and ousting the 1967 Caliphate-led alliance of the rest of Nigeria. If you recall, like I started with, Decree 14 now split the regions into states. And what happened 3 days after this Decree 14 was put in place? Ojukwu declared Biafra. And there was a gang up of the Middle Belt, the Southwest, and even some within the old Eastern region. They ganged up and they formed an alliance and came heavily down upon the newly declared Biafra. So what the Lower Niger Congress has done is to build an alliance of the three blocks, which is the Lower Niger region, the Oduduwa, the Yoruba region, and then the Middle Belt, thereby isolating the Sharia, the Caliphate. This is the Caliphate. The green one here is the Caliphate. So the Lower Niger Congress, together with the MNN partners, have been able to isolate and remove that Caliphate-led alliance. That is what has broken the back of the Caliphate, because right now they are standing alone. We have the alliance territory made up of the Lower Niger, the Middle Belt, and of course the Oduduwa section. The issue now is the so-called Biafra, pro-Biafra groups and others. What have they done in terms of trying to form an alliance with us? Because this extrication cannot be done in isolation. We must join hands with the other blocks to be able to extricate ourselves from the stranglehold of the Caliphate. The fifth one is the one that is very critical. The Lower Niger Congress is determined to pursue its program without using the tag name Biafra. And I'm sure people will be surprised why. The Lower Niger Congress believes that the ethnic nationalities within the Lower Niger area must have a say in the name that they want to answer. You cannot, I repeat again, you cannot be in London under a microphone and conscript the Kalabari nation, conscript the Urobo nation, conscript the so-called Shekiri, the Bibio, the Anangefik into a particular nation and give them a name without consulting them. The Lower Niger Congress believes in three things that must be done. Number one, there must be an agreement among the ethnic nationalities for them to be in one geographical entity. Kalabari, Ogoni, Ibibio, Anang, Efik, Ogoja, Igbo, Okpe, Isoko, Shekiri, Ijo. Do you all want us to be in one geographical entity? And they said yes. Then the next question is, what will be the relationship? Is it going to be like in Nigeria where somebody will be in Enugu and will be controlling the oil in Ogoni land? Or somebody will be in Port Harcourt and be controlling the coal in Enugu? The answer will be you keep what you have and you contribute to the center. That's number two. Number three, the Lower Niger Congress believes that the next thing after answering the question of being together and controlling what you have, the third item there will be, what name are we going to answer? This must be brought to the table among the constituent ethnic nationalities. So it could be in a setup where they will say, okay, somebody will raise a hand. I want us to answer Biafra. And then the thing will be thrown to the people in attendance. It's possible that the majority will say no. And then they will pick another name until they agree and accept a name before you go to referendum. In other words, the question of using the campaign name Biafra at the pre-referendum stage is what Lower Niger Congress is putting aside. That's the strategy. That's the strategy number 5. It may get some people upset. I know some people are saying, oh, you are afraid to call the name Biafra, you this and that. No, it's not. The issue here is that the Kalabari man must accept that name. The same thing with the Shekiri man, the Robo man, the Isoko man, the Okpe man, the Anang, the Bibio, the Epic, before ever we begin to use it as the name of the geographical entity. So it is very important. Number 6 is the question of the terminal processes for concluding the self-determination campaign. The Lower Niger Congress is using the strategy of UN-backed referendum. I repeat, UN-backed or UN-supervised, mandated and supervised referendum. Some other groups are chanting referendum, even though initially they started by saying that they are going to use violence, they are going to fight, and then they will get their nation. But right now, they are chanting referendum. The question is, what type of referendum? If it is not referendum that is backed by the UN, then it is dead on arrival. So the terminal process for concluding the self-determination campaign, the Lower Niger Congress is adopting the strategy of referendum. The number 7 is the question of orderly transitioning from the existing constitutional and governance order. If you will remember what happened in South Africa between 1990 and 1994, there was something called Convention for a Democratic South Africa. It is called CODESA, Convention for a Democratic South Africa. That's a transitioning process. We are not just going to wake up one day and then you now have your nation. No. We have governors now. We have senators. We have the president. We have other levels of government. They will be there, and then they will transition from that phase into the new phase we are. So there will be an orderly transition, unlike some other pro-Biafra or other pro-agitation groups who are talking about, conquer and occupy. You just move in your forces. No, it's not going to work. That is calling for total and complete bloodshed. The last and not the least, which is the 8th strategy, is the issue of international imperatives. Look, we must be very, very honest to ourselves. There is something called economic interest. In our area where we come from in the Lower Niger, there is a lot of economic interest from these international and superpowers. The United States of America, for instance, have multinational oil companies drilling, exploring, and exporting oil and gas in the Lower Niger. And therefore, we must work with them to ensure that their interests are protected. The Netherlands, the same thing. Italy, the same thing. France, they all have their interests. So we must fashion out a way of assuring them that the economic interest will be protected and engage them robustly, which of course I can tell you from hindsight that the Lower Niger Congress is already doing. Now these other organizations, have they done any of this? No. And you want self-determination, you can't get it if you do not engage these foreign powers and international oil companies and their agencies. And so the point here to make here is that we are glad that the Lower Niger Congress is making progress with this 8-point strategy. And they have been able to use it and sell it to the other blocks, and they have bought it wholeheartedly. But unfortunately, there are some rogue elements within the Lower Niger area who are operating global franchises, and they don't want to adopt any of these strategies, even when they have been approached and lectured on this for hours and for years, to the extent that in September 2017, the Lower Niger Congress now made a definite categorization and categorized them as rogue Biafra franchise, global rogue Biafra franchise. And it is my prayer that they will turn a new leaf. Otherwise, they are going to end up in disgrace, because these 8-point strategies must be applied if we want to be successful. And so it is very imperative that we understand that these are strategies that we use for the liberation of the enslaved people of the Lower Niger. Therefore, in closing, I would like to let us know that these strategies have already been in place, been in use, and is working, and is being brought into by the Middle Belt and the Oduduwa section, and a significant number of those even within the Lower Niger, including the Niger Delta area. But like I said earlier, there are a few, rogue elements who do not want to buy into this, and they have fallen into deep pit. And when the trouble comes, they saw that they are not heading anywhere. And when the Lower Niger Congress strategies are working out, they now want to jump out to take credit. It doesn't go that way. Therefore, good people of the world, as we go into 2020, I am urging support for the Lower Niger Congress as we continue in the execution of this 8-point strategy. With this, I will conclude my part 4, and I say that you watch out for part 5, which will give us a report of what has happened in the international arena, and it is also going to be opportunity to bring out the terminal processes that will precipitate the self-determination referendum. I repeat, part 5, which is coming up shortly, will be to outline and give a report of the happenings internationally, what LNC has done, and it is also going to give us an outline of the processes that will be projected to precipitate the self-determination referendum. I thank you, and I say may 2020 be a year of progress, be a year of good results, and be a year of our referendum that will lead us to our new nation. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
You have heard it all from him. Thank you, Clifford Irana. Thank you, Tony Nadi, and your group, and whatever you are doing. I pray all that agitating groups should come up with their own plan of action. BVI Channel one will do justice to present it to my people holistically. Now you've listened to him, you have heard what he said, you have heard what he represented. I just have to, put it out in it's more than this. But if you want to get more of it, you can go to their website and search for more information. Here, we don't belong to any group. Here, once you are adding value to what my people are, passing to their aspiration, we will bring you on this platform and will give it a push for our people to understand where you're heading to. So bring it on. All groups, no matter where you come from or no matter the kind of group you belong to, as far as you're adding value to the Biafran agitation, this platform is for you. And we will not tolerate anyone trying to gag other people's free speech. Everybody has right to their own opinion. Bring yours on board. Let's know your plan of action. Let's know how we all can together secure the ultimate freedom that we seek. Thank you for watching. Keep subscribing. This year, we must hit 1 million subscribers. We are not asking you to subscribe because you want to get money out of it. We want you to subscribe to form a very powerful community where everybody is equal, where the Biafran spirit is exhibited. This platform is what we call Good Governance Ministry. And here, we are involved. Every one of us should bring our own effort to the table. Let us together make this happen. Keep subscribing, keep sharing, keep liking. If you have not downloaded our app, it is right there on the Play Store. It is free. You have all the information at the tips of your finger. Please do that. Make sure you download it. Make sure you also share it to other people. Share this video, and together, you can drop your comment as well, so that if there is anything that you want to talk about, or you want to touch, or you want to add, you want to subtract from what our brother presented, please bring it on the comment section. I will be right there to do justice to that. Thank you for watching. Stay blessed and feel on the mood of the holiday. Happy New Year. This is 2020, when we do it the right way. Goodbye.